Welcome back, everyone, to a new episode of Wide Open with Ashlyn Harris. This next guest, you're going to absolutely adore. I adore him. He's funny as hell. His social media is some of the best content I have ever seen, watched, witnessed. Blakely, introduce yourself to the viewers, to the listeners.
Hello, everyone.
Who are you? What are you doing? Say all the things.
I'm Blakely Thornton, born in Dallas, Texas. I'm 39 years young.
Yeehaw.
We're surviving like everybody else. I think right now, professionally, I would call myself a pop culture anthropologist. It's primarily on social, but kind of expanding to soon like this, the podcast world, and hopefully other aspects of media. And I'm just kind of professionally poking holes on why things are the way they are right now. That is my current landscape.
You've literally done so much stuff. I was reading through everything in your bio and what led you here. And I was like, what has he not done is my question, because you've walked so many lives at this point, and you've done a lot in fashion and in entertainment behind the camera. Now you're in front of it.
Yes, hello.
Now, you're acting, honey. You're doing all these things, and you're really finding your way, and you're changing the landscape of how we consume content when it comes to politics, fashion, pop culture. Like, you are leading the charge.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I can't stop watching your fucking content. It just, like, no one's safe. That's the best. Like, no one's safe. It's like, fuck around and find out.
Truly. Truly. It really is. But I think we need to have that in the culture. I think so much of the reason we are where we are, election and media and fashion, is because people are like scared to say something because of like a future dollar. And for me, I think I have the benefit of not, like, these people don't pay my bills.
Nope.
So like when you come in and they do, or if you're on a network show or you have a radio show, you're beholden to sponsors. But like, I got to come in through this little thing called social media. Like, thank you, Daddy Zuckerberg, even though I kind of hate you half the time too. And just be like, what the fuck is happening here? And I think what you find is a lot of times all I'm doing is asking why. And that's always been in my nature since I was a child. Like, when something is presented to me, whether it's music or a music video or an awards ceremony, I'm like, who is making it? Why did they make it that way? And even who's reviewing it? Like, looking at movie reviews, like 70% of movie reviewers are like straight white men. So like, that's why like when women win Oscars, it's always playing like a hooker or a slave.
Yes.
Because it reaffirms straight white men's place in the universe. So I'm always just kind of poking a hole in the why of those things.
For people who don't follow you, which they need to, kind of run them through what you're doing by poking holes into people's stories.
I think the biggest thing for me is a lot of people don't interrogate the why, even within themselves, of why they do what they do. So I think when we're looking at a commercial or a fashion campaign, I'm like, okay, like if you see a blonde, skinny, straight woman, 70% of the time is the fashion face of a Chanel. Why? When you say, oh, because she's luxurious, why? Why is a skinny white woman luxurious to you? What about that says luxury? Or you're even interrogating, like, going to Fashion Month on the runways. Why are there no trans people? Why are there no people of different sizes? Why is there nobody seeing no like Asians on a runway when they are a huge part of the marketplace? So I'm just asking, like, why things are the way they are. And often when you peel back that first layer, it's not always nefarious, but it kind of reveals people's biases.
Yes.
And that's the thing. Everybody is biased. Like, I always kind of say too, like, I'm not objective. When people are like, you're my news. I'm not your news. I'm an opinion, babes.
Yes.
And I always say, it's not the line, it's my line. And that's my line as a cis, fairly masculine presenting, queer, Black American. Like, and all those things come with biases, but I try to be aware of them. And I think that's the thing, is no one is objective. And if we all realize we're just coming with an opinion, it would be a much better world, let's say.
Do you write everything before when you do your breakdowns?
My process, people always say, what's the process? Normally, literally, I wake up around, my intrusive thoughts come to me around 4:45 in the morning. And I'm like, oh, you're awake now. Yay. You have an hour till sunrise. And honestly, the first thing I usually do is go to people.com because I truly believe people.com is a tool of the oppressor.
Oh my God.
Because, like,
hello.
I have not believed them when they said Blake Shelton was the sexiest man alive, they told on themselves. It's like, we're liars. But when you look at people.com, it literally is like cold case white woman being murdered, some kind of like wedding drama between women, and then like something good about Mark Wahlberg. And those are all three things that I'm suspicious of. Just by nature.
It's so good.
But my process is usually looking at the news and being like, that's interesting. Why is it happening? But when I was little, my mom, when I used to ask what a word meant, she'd make me go to like an old school leather-bound book and look it up. And I think what that did for me is, one, make me curious and always being like, what does that word mean? Go figure it out. It kind of built that kind of habit into me. And two, it's given me the ability to almost immediately in real time describe exactly how something is making me feel. And I think if that is what it distills down to, that is like my quote unquote superpower, is I can look at something and immediately tell you exactly how I feel about it in almost nanoseconds. So with like fashion, I have to like look up who or what. That takes a while. With politics, I have to like make sure I'm looking up the laws of like, what is the role of the head of the FCC or what is the role of the Attorney General? And then I'm like, oh, okay, we're fucked, and here's why. So that is the look, like, you know, the mind behind the madness, etc.
I love it, but I want to talk about that because I always start this podcast off because it's called Wide Open. It's this ability in sport to seize a moment, to separate yourself from the pack, to execute, but it's also this part of life where we've all lived this beautiful journey to make us, and we're exactly who we are because of the things we've gone through. And you have such a beautiful, interesting story as, you know, a Black queer man in America, and you were like very good at sports.
Oh, I love sports. I think sports are a big part of who I am. I grew up a competitive tennis player in Texas, which was like USTA, juniors, like Zats, super champs, nationals, etc. And I was considering, like, I wanted to go to Stanford. My goal was to go to Stanford to play college tennis. And then I realized when I turned about 14, 15, that a lot of these kids that go to Stanford go to these like tennis schools in like Florida or Austin. I visited one in Austin, realized those kids were sociopaths. I was just like, they were truly broken existence. I was like, I would like a little bit of levity in my world. Like, I'm not trying to like, you know, freak out because I don't make 16s, like sectionals or like nationals or whatever. And then so I also got a C in Spanish my sophomore year, and I still wanted to go to an Ivy League or like high level school. So my junior year of high school, I started playing football because I was like, I'm fast. This is easy. I'll do it. So that was my first year of football, was my junior year. I ended up getting recruited by like Harvard, Yale, Navy, which was hilarious. I was never going to fucking go to Navy. That was never going to happen. And we ended up going to University of Pennsylvania to play football, played all 4 years. It was the most homophobic and homoerotic environment one could ever be in all at once. And I hated every second of it. I think football is modern day slavery. I don't think it should even exist as a sport. It's just like getting concussions for Republican billionaires or like exploiting young Black men. So like Nick Saban can make $10 million. Fuck you, Nick Saban. And Urban Meyer and the horses you rode in on in your states.
This is too good.
But I was just psychotically competitive, and it was also just like, I don't know, sports teaches you perseverance. If I went back, I would not do it again, I don't think, but it's made me who I am. It's made me able to kind of almost have an entire dialogue in my brain without someone to back things off of, because I mean, if you're a closeted homosexual in a college football team, you're not going to basically like, there's always an awareness of speaking your real feelings about anything, whether it's like, oh, like, yeah, Britney Spears was hot, guys, or oh, hey, like, I'm fucking with that new Lady Gaga album so hard at all times. And like, you're aware of that because there's a level of not being oneself. So I also think that's kind of made me who I am, in that I did that for so long that I refuse to live a fucking second of my life without like a gel set or a crop top or wanting to carry a Chanel bag, should I so please, and the Ralphs, because I know the other aspect of that. So I feel like I have no option but to be myself in its entirety at all times.
So take me back there. Everyone asks me this all the time about the difference between being a queer woman in sports and a queer man in sports. And my thing is like, we're all fucking lesbians. I mean, truthfully, it's just like if you're not gay or identify as somewhat queer, like people are like, are you good? You're hiding. Are you sure? But in men's sports, you're right. It's the culture is so fucking toxic.
It's truly toxic.
And it's so sad because I would assume if you can't bring your full self to the people you're going to battle with, because you're right, football is fucking wild. It is like you're brainwashed to suffer and take hits. And it's like, how is this even okay? And how is this a sport? But the culture, the locker room stuff is so toxic, and it jeopardizes. It's an issue, and you can't be your full self. You can't show up in the way you want to show up in your life because of this sport and this idea and this culture people have an expectation of you being this tall, sexy, black, straight man who is out here fucking all these women, and you're beautiful and you're smart and you're all these things. Like, that has to impact yourself, your inner self at some point. Like, were you ever just, is this fucking worth it?
The thing is, even the straight men can't be themselves. Even the straight men are being muted by toxic masculinity in that locker room. Because if somebody wants to listen to like Michelle Branch because they just like Michelle fucking Branch, be like, so it's like nobody in a locker room is completely themselves except the wildest, probably most misogynistic person. There is an element of brotherhood in there, but I always tell this story. Basically, we're going into freshman year camp, so like I am 18 years old. We go in 2 weeks before school, like kind of like a hard knocks thing before college football.
Yes. Preseason camp.
And I guess they picked, and I'd never showered in a like big room together. I went to a prep school, so we had stalls. So like I was like, okay, this is my first time like being away from home, doing this football camp thing, which I kind of hate anyway. Like, cause I kind of didn't even know all the rules. Like college football, high school football in Texas is like, go hit that person. I'm athletic. They like sent me these like, here's the motion, here's this. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So I'm sitting there like, I don't know the rules. I'm fucking gay. All right. So like, this second day in camp, we're in the showers, and like this 23-year-old like super senior is like, Blakely, you're a fucking bitch, you're a little fucking whore. And I'm like, they know. I'm like, they smell it on me, oh no. And then they're like, and then all the seniors start like chanting money shot, money shot. So I'm like, I'm gonna get Law and Order SVU'd. Like, I am like, this is how it ends. And also like, this was like 2004, 2005, and I had read stories before going to camp about like sexual abuse in locker rooms, like people getting like broomsticks shoved up their ass. So I'm like, this is what they're gonna do. This is how I lose it.
This is it.
Back into a corner, and he's like rubbing his own stomach with like that disgusting Gojo thing. I look at all the freshmen, they're like, their eyes are like, what? They don't know what the fuck is going on. But all these bitches also leave the locker room. So I'm like, okay, cool, friends for life, guys. Like, fuck y'all. And then he like gets close to me as they're all chanting money shot, and then just throws the Gojo in my face. And like, that was the joke. And so this was like my introduction into college football, was like a pretend sexual assault. And it's almost like a microcosm for like the male condition.
Oh my God.
Because I'm like, even if I wasn't
This is so
a
cringy.
closeted homosexual, I would have been scarred for life. And I always say that I think that experience like delayed my coming out by like
10
years, literally. Like, I was like, okay, all right. Like, and that was literally like my first time showering with a group of men. So I was just I've talked about it in therapy. I was definitely scarred, and I am unpacking that at all times to this day in my existence. It was like, I think the beauty of being queer is you get to unpack the parts of yourself that are genuinely you, and the parts of yourself that are conforming to some idea of what you are supposed to be. And I think that's the beauty of queer people, and that straight people don't necessarily have to do that or question that. So I get that whole, clusterfuck of an experience on top of it.
I cannot imagine. Like, I just can't imagine. Like, there are so many gay men in sports.
100%.
I'm like, girl, you're not fooling anyone.
Oh, yeah. Check out my grinder. There are gay NFL players. We know. I'm not going to name names, but like
Tell me the deets. Did you ever sleep with a teammate?
No. Oh, my God. No. I didn't so much as kiss a man until I came out to everybody, until like my mom, my dad, sister, friends. So there was a cacophony of gay pornography.
Okay.
But like in terms of physically being affectionate with another man, I couldn't cross that until friends, family, and I was publicly out. So I didn't have a situation of like kissing dudes or kind of keeping it a secret, because also just you're living with other men. I also wasn't hiding it that well. Let's be real. They were like, I remember we were like beating Yale one year and I was on kickoff return and we were beating them by like 30 or something. And the kickoff return is just, if for people who don't know, it's like you just basically run full speed at other people. And I was on the wedge. So it was basically just like, oh, you get a concussion every 10 minutes. Yay. And I realized it was statistically impossible for them to like win. So I just like ran off the field and they were like, Blakely, what are you doing? I'm like, a W's a W. I'm not getting hurt. Like, I don't know. Good. Or like, when we would like be doing like max lifts, everybody would be like, yeah, like, let's listen to Slipknot and scream. And I was like, I require complete silence. No one speak, because I was like, you idiots are fucking barking about lifting weights, and if I have like 300 pounds above me and like I see like like white dude from New Jersey barking at me, I'm gonna giggle and like break my own neck. Yeah. So I was like, no. And also our lifting coach's name was Coach Steele. Oh, and he always had like a secret workout, which was like you can do the prescribed workout or you can like do like the Coach Steele workout. And you'd come in and you see somebody like vomiting or throwing up, and like everybody else had this thing of like, if he challenged you had to do it, and I was like, no, I choose no. Is that him on the floor throwing up? No, thank you.
Why are men so fucking weird?
Because they just can't be them. I always think football is just an excuse for men to like touch each other's butts and hug. And like, if you could just do that, if men could just show physical affection that like was non-sexual, I just think we'd have like less wars. I think so much of it is men are just so pent up and they don't talk. Like Issa Rae said once, men are so bad at conversation. Like they talk, but they don't have conversations, which is why like men are lonely and don't have good friendships. And I think like sports is kind of like a crutch for that, which is also why men are like so into sports. Like, as someone who's played college sports, I could never be like a diehard fan. Like, oh my God, the Steelers. Like, oh my God, like who gives a fuck?
Exactly.
This is like 40 millionaires playing for a racist billionaire and like, great, my city. That means nothing. And I think that attachment to sports teams, that attachment to players is just it's a replacement for a lack of emotional authenticity in their day-to-day relationships, whether those be platonic or romantic.
But I'll say this, how did you know you were gay? Did you always know? Did you have this moment of...
I mean, I feel like honestly, and this is another moment, and I'm like, sorry to my father, Steve. I was watching a Bulls game in like 1991, and I said one of the players was cute. And he goes, we don't say men are cute. But this was also 1991. I was 5. The world was a different place. And I think I've mentioned this to him before. And I think it kind of like crushed him when we talked about it 30 years later. But like I was 5 and I remember thinking something is wrong with the way you think. And that was the first kind of like, you didn't have the language for it, but I'm like, I was queer. And then it's like, oh, that boy has a nice smile. Or, oh, like Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Hey.
That's not a normal feeling. And then like I remember in high school people were like, Buffy's so hot, and I'm like, no, she isn't. Like she's blonde, she's kind of chic, but like would I have sex with her? Like disgusting.
No, thank you.
And also just in those movies, like I always identified with like the female character. Like when Sarah Michelle Gellar played Catherine in Cruel Intentions, I was like, that's me. I hate everything and everyone, and I have straight A's, but I would secretly destroy everyone in this room. So like I always identified with the female character or with like the angry woman who had to like do something, you know? Everybody in a Nancy Meyers film. Every woman in it, you know, Helen Hunt and Something's Gotta Give. But like it was always identifying with the female character. So I think on a visceral cellular level I knew, and I probably wasn't clearly aware of it until I like had sex with a woman, and I was like, oh no. So I am not a gold star by any means, but I will say that intercourse with females was traumatic for me.
That was it.
I think that was like, yeah, this is not for you. But you know, I'm a don't knock it till you try it kind of guy.
I love that about you, though.
And I tried it, and like, would I like French kiss Rihanna to this day? Yes. But like anything below the waist, I'd have to like, you get in there ASAP Rocky. I'm gonna tag him in.
Where did how did you decide to put it all together? Because you have lived so many lives and jobs, and you've been in the entertainment space, you've done the athletic stuff. Like how did you find your way in the world after sports, deciding to come out? Was it like you just dropped the fucking rope and you were like, this is me and I'm taking off?
Well, I think even like for the first couple of years after college, because I didn't come out till like my late 20s, was like, oh, I thought like I went to Wharton undergrad and I was like, I'm going to be the Black Gordon Gekko and make money because like achievement. And I think for a lot of queer high achieving people, before you come out, you replace that with like being the best at something because it gives you something to distract yourself from. So it's like if on the tennis court, I was like, I will die before you can beat me. Like I loved it to be 110 degrees and fucking sweltering because I was like, I will literally sit here and watch you convulse before I will lose to you, or before I will give you the image that I will lose to you, because I could often just beat better players. Because I was like, I love tennis because it's a mental boxing match, and I love it to this day for that reason. But I went and worked at Bloomberg Financial, hated it, hated everything about banking culture, and then quit, and then ended up working at Ralph Lauren, right? Like around the time I came out, and I was like, oh, this is what it's like to have like eclectic, creative, fun, cool friends. And it was like, they're still my friends to this day. I was just at a wedding with them in Palm Springs, but it was like, I realized now that we were hired in that store for being kind of like a Benetton version of me and having the right pedigree. Cause like to this day, I cannot fold a sweater, but it was like Blakely, Christian, Lawrence, Linton, and Brecht. And we went to like Harvard, Yale, Georgetown, Brown, and Penn. And we just like looked the correct part and we're like creative. And then I think everything I've done to this day kind of like has been a conglomerate, whether it be working at a fashion company, working at an agency and marketing as an MD, kind of like branding campaigns, being an influencer wrangler. I was in charge of like picking influencers for campaigns and then like writing up their contracts. So I've been on the other side of it as well. I just think all the knowledge I brought from my other lives professionally have come together to kind of like poke at the veil of this. Because when I talk about like what influencers are being flown out to a premiere, I'm like, why is it always like the same 5 like white girls and guys that are straight when they don't have any insight into the actual film? But I know it's because, it's the PR girl who likes them, or they're from the same prep school in Connecticut. Like I'm always peeling back at who's making the decision. And I think that's been helpful to inform how I look at the media landscape now and how I present myself in it, whether that be in social media, in the future, in a podcast, wink, wink, 21, January 2025, or I guess now when this comes out, and, in like TV and film kind of to a certain extent.
Yeah. Didn't it just come out? Weren't you acting recently?
Yes, it's offshoot. It's airing now on Out TV in Canada. You can find it on Roku, on Apple TV, and I believe on Amazon, although I hate you, Daddy Bezos. I will always hate you. But it was just, I like being creative. It was very funny because I think in the way I've talked about things in the media, like whether it's becoming friends with like you or Sophia, or honestly a bunch of actors and actresses that kind of like, we've, I guess, strangely become friends. But Ryan Reynolds actually asked me the most probing question.
Oh, tell me everything.
And he was like, what do you want like in this world? Like, what is your like thing that you want to present? What is your purpose, you think? Because we text. And I was like, I'm very Black and very gay, and I want the people that are those things to feel more comfortable being them, but also the people that are around those things to feel more comfortable being around them. And whether that's my personal voice, whether that's a show I produce like Queer Sports on Vice, whether that's me acting, whether that's me producing and writing, I want people to be more comfortable with a presence like me in the world. Because I feel like the more that you are used to me, the more used to somebody that's gay, that's Black, that's a woman, can be smarter, can be faster, can be the person that's telling you what the fuck to do and is not going to sugarcoat it. the less we have this virulent reaction that we're having in society right now. Because I think that's based on, honestly, the fact that people are viscerally averse on a cellular level to the idea of a woman or a woman of color telling them what to do.
Oh my gosh, yes.
To the point where they don't even know why. And I think that's the problem, is that all of media since, you know, the Emancipation Proclamation or whatever, that's slavery, but or has been telling white men that you are supposed to inherit the earth. When somebody says he looks like a leader, what does leader look like? Why does leader look like a cis, blonde, square-jawed white man? Does a leader have an opinion? One of the craziest reactions I got online was when Chris Hemsworth was in talks to be Prince Charming, and I like I did a meme where I just rolled my eyes at it. I said like florals for spring, like and like I'm talking more than the things I say about Trump, than the things about politics. The most virulent, psychotic reactions from the internet. Fuck you. Should it be a lesbian black midget? I was like, yes, I fucks with that hard.
Yes,
yeah,
actually.
I would love a trans black midget to play Prince Charming. I would love it.
Yes.
Do it. Let's do it. But like, then I realized like, oh, everyone is their wound. You are viscerally invested in the idea that charming means a tall white man. Because it doesn't say Prince White and Blonde. It says Prince Charming. Anybody can be charming. Shit, you should play Prince Charming. If that's the case, you're charming as fuck. Like, you know? But I'm like, oh, people are viscerally invested in this. And they're invested in it because they don't feel seen. Because if I'm a white man and everything in media tells me you're supposed to get a white picket fence and a wife that loves you and make this money, and that's not happening, and all you see is like me, you, and Beyonce on TV, they're like, fuck these people.
Yeah.
And they become wildly attached to that. And I think like that was a real eye opener for me. I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is imaginary. This is an imaginary character that it's like, and it's found my way onto the incel internet. And I think that's, I don't know. I'm always like looking at why. And I'm one of my other things I always say is everyone is their wound.
Oh, because it's so good.
Because the backlash I get isn't about me. Whereas I'm going to go and look at like the background of the popcorn slings of your house, or like your cystic acne, or like that, you know? I literally was like, I hope when I was talking about Dwayne Wade's statue, it wasn't even racial. And someone was like, well, you all fucking look alike, fuck you. And I was like, it just doesn't look like him in the same way Ronaldo's didn't. But I was like, I hope when they do your statue, they get your cystic acne scars, right? Oh
my God.
And they were like, I was like, how dare you? I was like, if you want to play, let's play. Like, I'm a Scorpio, so like I'm almost sexually aroused by the idea of an enemy. And if you give me an excuse to share the unhealed part of myself with you, then baby, it's game on. It's fucking Mortal Kombat. Yes. I love it. Like, hurt my feelings. That's actually like my love language. Oh. And then I'm going to come back at you. I'm going to do research on you, on your father, on your mother, on your pets. And I'm going to like blast you. And they never lasted more than one round. I've never met a quick-witted bigot.
Oh, that's never. Facts.
Never.
You're so, like, because you really have opened your life up to receiving a lot of criticism because you just fucking say it how it is. You're not sure. You don't care. You are just like living your life in your truth, and you're speaking your opinion about all the shitty people and all the things they're doing wrong, and you expose them.
Yeah.
So how hard is that now to open your life to this type of criticism? Because people always have shit to say. People hate on anyone doing and being exactly who they are and who they're meant to be. How do you handle it? Because it is it's like the dark side of the internet.
Oh, well, I think I'm always open to criticism, and I love a debate. So I've had friends be like, well, you have a bias towards this, or you have a bias towards that, or you love, you know, a skinny biracial girl in a campaign. I'm like, I do. But it's also like, oh, well, I guess if I'm looking at like Zendaya, Laura Harrier, and Zoe Kravitz, I'm just happy that they're black, but they're also a specific version of a black woman that's also highly acceptable. So I'm like, that's a conversation I will have. So if you're talking about me and my biases with nonviolent language, always open, because I'm an opinion, and I am also my biases too. But I find that 90% of the stuff I get is like F slur or N slur. And I'm like, that's lazy and boring, and ultimately like not actually about me. It's like you're just going to the most, and also like being gay and being black, I don't view them as pejoratives, so I don't care. Yeah. It's like, oh, you're calling me gay and black. Yeah, duh.
Great.
Welcome to the dollhouse, fucking idiot. Like, okay, what's next?
So
I think like it's just easy for me to ignore because like I firmly view those things as positive towards my viewpoint. So if you're just saying them in a derogatory way, it's like it's a rubber glue situation.
It's just like it's getting old too.
Yeah.
It's like exhausting. I will say this. What is it like? Because you walk into rooms with a lot of A-list celebrities that you're literally shaming and talking shit about and exposing. What is it like when you walk into these events and you've literally roasted people on how do they treat you? Tell me a situation. I need to fucking hear all the juice because like I can't imagine a Kim Kardashian can handle your energy.
Well, see, the thing is like, it's been interesting, but I've always said, and I think the thing with the internet is like, I stand 10 toes fucking down with anything I say. I think anything you say on the internet, you should be willing to say to someone's face. So if Kim came up to me, I also believe like I'm operating with a parasocial knowledge of you. There's things you do that are fucking shitty. Would I sit down with her and be like, why the fuck are you posting Ivanka Trump 2 days before the election? Like, I honestly want to hear her answer. I'm not here to be like, you're the devil. Because like, I believe Kim, and I don't know her, is just blind ambition. And she's ambition that's kind of insulated from criticism because we're not meant to get the feedback of 300 million people. So that one keeps her sane, but two keeps from hearing things she needs to hear. So also like she could ignore me, but it's okay. But also like if she came and said like, well, I heard that, I'm like, yeah, bitch, I said it.
Yeah.
Do you want to sit down and talk about it? Okay, if not, no. I think maybe the weirdest one, and I'll call out full tea on it. Like I met Troye Sivan briefly at the Wicked premiere.
Oh, recently.
Yeah. So like, I think I saw Sophia there.
Yeah.
Like, because they didn't tell her where the bar was. Because I think they had like actors and influencers. They let us influencers to the goddamn bar immediately. And like, I think some of the actors would have wanted to go there because it was 3 hours of like open bar and meats and cheeses. But like, I know Troy has seen the things I've said because like, he's not a natural dancer. Okay. He's an Australian white man. His natural thing is the 1 and the 3. But his dance journey has been incredible, has been cool. And he's gotten so much better. And him and Dua Lipa, I feel like a proud aunt every time they like get through an 8 count without falling down. I'm like, you're doing so great. Because I know it's not natural to them. And I appreciate work. And as a child of the Janet Jackson generation, baby, if you don't come with fucking poppin' fresh dance moves, you're not a pop star.
Yes.
So like, and they're both fucking doing it. But his energy was a little bit cold. And also this is completely in my head. He could not know me. He could be tired. But also I'm like, he also could have seen the things I say about how he dances and not want to fuck with me right now, which is perfectly okay. But if he had said, yo, what the fuck? I'd be like, baby, you can't dance.
You can't dance.
But you're fucking great at it. And your journey has been beautiful and I'm rooting for you. And also if you don't want me to if he was like, that hurts my feelings, please don't, I'd stop.
Would you?
I would, because it's like, I'm not married to making fun of somebody's dancing, or if it's really like a pinpoint and like some of those things go viral, then I don't want to do that. But in my mind, I'm rooting for you like an auntie that talks that real shit towards you. But also like, I am also aware that my entire interpretation of the situation is in my head. He could have just been tired and not want to fucking talk to anybody. But I also like, you've probably seen the videos, you probably clocked who it was, and maybe you didn't feel like talking about it, but all I can do is take up space. And if anybody has enough of a issue with me to say something in person, open to talking about it.
I love it. I feel like there's such big, like when I walk into rooms with a lot of entertainers, it's pretty split 50-50. You can tell immediately the fucking egos, like literally the ones that are walking on water and the ones that are like so present and so willing to have conversation and be normal, because it's such a weird fucking culture in the entertainment space.
But I think that the people that have like, I find the people that have a sense of humor about themselves, I've oddly become like actual acquaintances or friends with. Like literally I talk to Channing Tatum a lot. But like I will literally, if he looks stupid, he was running one day and was wearing like a rucksack and like cord earphones. I did a whole video. I'm like, this man looks stupid. He looks like he is married to an REI. He looks the most Caucasian I've ever seen in my life. And he like literally wrote back like a voice note, just like laughing about it. So I'm like, I think people that have a sense of humor about their self-image we've actually
Love
ended up
it.
bonding and
Yeah.
becoming friends. Ryan Reynolds is also very funny. I make fun of his pockets because he would like, I was like, I know your stylist does all this work. You got your fucking pocket stuffed
Oh,
like you're a first
God.
grader. And like they like, I think people, again, people that don't have a serious crazy ego, I find that they're actually like the most famous. Like people that are secure in themselves, that, you know, are making billion-dollar films, or like have kind of are in like quote unquote A-list echelon. They're the people that will literally laugh and write back or repost things about themselves. So like you like a Heidi Klum, a Channing Tatum, a Ryan Reynolds, like James Marsden. Like when I make fun of these people, they're like, that's fucking hilarious.
That is
And they're in on the
hilarious.
joke. But I think you have to be in on the joke to have a sustained career for years, because you have to have gone through the ups and downs. And also I think they're realizing that like, I'm talking about an image of you, not you. And I think that comes through in my humor. I'm not saying you're a fucking terrible person. I'm saying your hair looks stupid that day. Or you look lost. Or like, why are you eating that? Or like, you look confused. But it's also often that picture is a metaphor for something larger about society or the way we collectively feel. So I'm like, I think, yeah, people that like get the humor of it and get that I'm not saying you're a shitty person because I didn't like your shorts that day.
Yeah, exactly.
Or because like your hair looks stupid. But like, you know, if I'm talking about Trump's cabinet, then like, come fight me.
Yeah.
Like, come see me.
I mean, I feel like you must be rubbing off on Sophia, because she has just sometimes, now she's like, I'm burning it all to the ground. I'm exposing everyone who writes me things. I'm just letting it rip. She's very much so in her fuck around and find out
As
era.
she should be. I just don't think we should sit here and be like a punching bag for someone. I think this whole thing on the internet where like, oh, if you're in the public space, you're allowed to like call me slurs or say abusive, disgusting, misogynist, homophobic shit to me because like I have a platform. It's like, okay, well, I'm just putting up your picture with the exact thing you said to me. And if a lot of people get mad at you about that, welcome to my world, because there are hundreds of thousands to millions of you saying this shit to me, expecting nothing back in return. And they're like, well, how could you weaponize your fan base or whatever? And like I'm a micro niche corner of the internet. I don't have a quarter of what, you know, Sophia has going on. But I'm like, if you want to say some racial shit or some misogynist shit or some homophobic shit, and I say, look, here's a screenshot of what you said, go have at it, internet. And be like, welcome to my world, baby. I'll drag you down to hell with me.
I love it. Because here's the thing. So much of social media has made you, right? But there is such a, like, I'm the opposite. I have my comments off. I can't be bothered by what you think about me. That is your fucking issue, not mine. And I just don't want to see it. Like, I just don't want to see it. I don't even want to open that door up anymore to listen to your trauma projected on me. And what I'll say is our queer community, I mean, crisis hotlines right now are up 700%. Like we are so targeted on social media. What is your view about it? Because it is a really, really scary place when you don't know yourself, when you are seeking that type of, I want people to like me and understand me and I want to be seen, which could be really toxic.
I think that is the value of coming into whatever I'm coming into at 39 years old. Is like, I'm tired. I have my friends in LA that are my good friends that have been I have my Liz's, my Ashleys, my Yasmins that have known me forever. And I'm not looking to really like, you know, make new friends. So like anybody else I come upon that is in entertainment, like there's a genuine connection. I always say, I feel like whether it's again a Sophia or a Chan or a Ryan or even like a Cynthia, they're internally driven people. We are driven to make something and to do something. And we generally connect based on like a life viewpoint or a viewpoint on art that is agnostic of the superfluous shit. So well, everybody is kind of subject to wanting people to like them and wanting outside affirmation. And I'm not saying I'm not, but I think the people that I have connected with, the people I end up like having their phone number or calling or texting is almost about, we would be fucking friends anyway.
Yeah.
And I think people who are public facing in any capacity, you're like, I have people I like and I have people I don't like. And I think when you connect with somebody, you know, you connect with them on those levels. And I think, again, whether it's a Sophia or the other people I've connected with, it's because we fuck with each other on like a real personal level.
And also, I just, you get to an age, which I am like, I'm also the same age. So I just turned 39. And it's just, it's such a freeing time to live in a space where you've gone through so many fucking seasons that have shaped you. And you're just like, if I don't need it, I'm fucking good. I keep it pushing.
Exactly. Like if I don't want to go to dinner with you one-on-one, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. It's like, and it's also nice to have other people, you know, like at Wicked when I'm like, Sophia, a person I know. Like, but it's also like if I don't want to have like a 4-hour lunch with you where we just drink coffee and talk shit about the world, then like that's the value. That has been the cool part about this, is meeting additional people that fit in that space for me, regardless of what their outside impact is. Because most of the people, honestly, friendship is like just sending weird memes that you think of towards each other, or like this, or like if you're comfortable enough with someone to be like, this dumb thing made me think of you, then like that I value so much more than the idea of like being in a film or writing together or whatever else, you know?
I ask everyone, and there's this one moment in your life that really changed it all, that split you wide open, that made you peel back the layers and really realign. And I want to know what moment in your life changed it all. Like, what was that path, moment, idea, chance, loss? What was it for you?
Ooh, that's very interesting. Is it personally, professionally, or both?
It's up to you. You can do both.
Ooh. I would say personally, it was, I broke up with my first major relationship of the time on June 1st of 2020 during like the Black Lives Matter protests, where I just like something like snap, where I'd been in like a semi-toxic relationship. We weren't getting along really well, but also the pandemic was a make or break time where like you either found you love that person or you don't like that person. And I came back and I'd seen kind of like all this misery, and in New York especially, death and just the weird uprising, what was happening. And then my boyfriend said something crazy out of line, and I was like, we're done.
Oof.
I was like,
quickly.
I was just like, okay. And he was like, you don't get it. We're over. I was like, okay, pack your shit. Go to Miami. Goodbye. I was like, I'll buy your plane ticket. Your cousin lives in Brooklyn. Have him come get you. Like, I was like, Erykah Badu, call Tyrone. Get your shit. Goodbye. And I think from then it was like, oh, I don't have to deal with the idea of a relationship that I've invested 2 years with you and learning what I would and would not take. So now I have a very clear stake in the ground of how I want to be treated. And also like, I realize that I'm still looking for a partner, but also in friendships, I require someone that is not disrespectful even when they are angry. And I think that is a key through line in my friendships, in the relationships I have. When you are angry, and not nobody's perfect, but I need somebody who like can speak to me with respect.
Yes.
And I think everyone is deserving of that. And I think I go through, and I think that has become a through line for me in the way I talk to other people, whether I'm talking in nonviolent language, which I'm not always 100% with. But like, I think about even when I'm criticizing, I'm trying to criticize based on facts. I'm trying to criticize based on an action that you have taken that I don't like, because I think there's a nuance in, I can like you and not like everything you do.
Fair.
And I think that's a nuance that we've lost with the internet. Is like, I can disagree with an outfit choice, with a political choice, with an action you have taken in business, and find it and criticize it. But also that doesn't mean I hate you as a person, which kind of almost circles back to the Kim thing. Like, I'm just like, I don't like some of her choices, but like, if the bitch slays in an outfit occasionally, I'll say you look good, because that's the world we live in. So I think that moment and that decision-making and that process of June 1st, 2020 made me really be like, okay, cool. What are your boundaries personally and professionally? And also never treat anyone else the way this person has treated you.
Oof. Perspective. 2025.
Ooh.
Right? You make a living off of pop culture, politics, art, fashion. I mean, I'm scared shitless. I have no fucking idea what's about to happen. I, however, know it will change a lot of the landscape in our community. our creative ability. What are your thoughts? What are you scared about? What are you feeling? What's your perspective?
I mean, as a person that currently makes my money off of brand deals, I know it's not super trendy to be Black and gay anymore and to be outspoken in any capacity. Even thinking about, I watched a documentary on, it was called, I think, Buy More on Netflix. And I'm like, H&M is fucking garbage. But like, H&M is paying people out the ass, people that I'm friends with, to do these campaigns. Like the least brat thing Charlie XCX did with his H&M campaign, because it's disgusting and there's bullshit and it's entrapment for people who are lower income, and also like they are polluting half of fucking Africa and Asia with their fucking stuff. But people want to but I get it. But like, hey Charlie, like that check was probably for 7 figures. So like, I don't know what I would do. Who knows? But I think it's hard for companies to come at me when I'm coming at their bullshit a lot.
Yes.
And we're also dealing with almost like 4 super companies now. It's like Amazon, Meta, Tesla/X,
Tesla.
and like whatever else. So I feel like that's probably hard when people know I'm critical of late stage capitalism, but I make my money off of selling things at this point. And that's a dichotomy that I'm aware of all the time. So I think for 2025, I would like to get more into getting paid for making organic content that is narrative, whether it's podcasting, writing, acting, because I think my voice is interesting and funny and entertaining, and being able to do that in a semi-consistent manner without having to be actually hawking a product directly, hopefully will come into fruition.
Well, I feel like you're going to have an endless amount of content because these fucking people are absolute clowns.
Oh, it's truly a
every day I'm like, is this a joke? Are we really here? And I'm like, pinch me. We're fucking here, and I don't see it getting any better.
And I mean, I'll have an endless supply of things to say. I just hope I will be able to like pay my rent and get food saying them. Even just, I feel like even the inflation we feel now, I'm like, how is everything $30? Like if I sit down in a fast casual restaurant, how did I pay $28 for that? When I feel like we were making jokes about like $20 salads 4 years ago, and now I'd be like happy to get out of a sit down restaurant with a sub $20 bill.
It just won't happen.
It just doesn't happen. I went to Sweetgreen and I was like, how is this $29? Like sitting here, or like, God forbid you order it. So,
It's so true though.
I'm trying to figure out how that goes.
This younger generation, I feel bad for. I do. I'm like, you can't buy fucking homes.
No.
You can't buy groceries.
Literally.
You can't buy peace. I mean, you sure as hell can't buy that now, at least for people like us. I'm just like, every day I'm waking up and I'm like, am I in a nightmare? I'm in a fucking nightmare. What am I going to do?
Yeah. It's truly like, what are we doing? And I'm just hoping I can focus my creativity on creating some kind of semblance of like financial and personal peace for myself. I also find a lot of peace in like Palm Springs. Because I just went. I love it.
I just went with Sophia.
I love it so much. It just like, I feel like after I have a very overstimulating aspect of like LA, like whether it's like the Oscars or something crazy, I go there for like 4 to 10 days, because it's like, it's metropolitan enough. It has a cool art museum, there's good shopping, but it's like looking at mountains. That's the ocean for me, is mountains, because I don't fuck with the ocean. That's like monster, again, like Megan Thee Stallion, that's Monster Soup. That's their home.
Monster Soup.
But like waking up and like seeing a gorgeous sky and mountains and just kind of like a vaguely queer community every day is like,
it's a dream.
It's peaceful.
Yeah. It is. And you have so many dimensions about you, and I think in a world that feels so dark and hopeless, it is really nice to have your content to give us some joy.
Well, honestly, that's one of the funniest things. Like, I was with my mom in Texas and got recognized in like the mall in like Dallas, and she's like, I think that was the first time she realized like, oh, people know who you are a little bit. Because I was like, yeah, it was in like an anthropology in like Plano, Texas.
Oh my God.
But I honestly, until I met people in person, because it happens probably maybe like once a week in LA. It was weirdly every day in Paris and London. But people are like, thank you, because you bring me joy and giggles. And like for me, I think because I'm not seeing that, I see numbers and I see comments. it feels like I'm just expressing how I feel, and it's cathartic for me to scream into the abyss and have those thoughts go into the world. But I think people have received them as a respite and as a laugh and as something that makes them feel good when they're feeling bad. And that honestly was not my intention. It was not expected. I was just authentically being like, here is how I fucking feel. Hopefully, and I think finding that other people feel the same way and it makes them feel better has been like an unexpected but highly appreciated consequence.
Yeah, and I think that's so true. I told you when you got here today, it was so ironic. I'm in a group chat with a bunch of girls, and they sent one of your breakdowns about Jack and Rose. And she was like, this is exact 10 out of 10. Literally, this is how I feel in this moment. And we all started, because we're all suffering and we're all finding community in a world that feels very unpredictable, especially for the queer community, for the Black community. Like, there's just so much.
Yeah.
And I'm raising 2 Black children, and I'm a gay woman. I'm like, oh, this is really a treat. But it is a nice moment of banter, of joy, to connect us in a time that feels so unpredictable and so heavy. So you reach so many people with the job you choose to do every day. And I'm grateful for it, because you're always in my chats. You're always in my group chats, and everyone just loves your personality and what you bring, because it is so different. I don't see anything like it on the internet, which is probably a great thing for you. It separates you from the rest of the pack.
Well, I always say I'm happy that like my kind of like ethos is like there's universality and like specificity. So like the more specific I am and the more I can drill down into exactly the way I'm feeling, that is my guiding force. Like, this is how this makes me feel. And hopefully someone else connects with that. Like I've often had like TikTok or like Instagram, like, here are the trends for creators. Here's this. And I was like, I don't give a fuck. I was like, this is not for me. I'm not going to dance. I'm not going to use trending sounds. I don't care how long or short you think this should be. I was like, my world is spewing how I feel in the most accurate way possible, with sometimes a layer of like 90s pop culture laid over it, and just shitting it into the world.
Yes.
yes. Like that is what I want to do. And if people connect with it, they do. And if they don't, they don't. And I feel like, in a strange way, I think, because I'm looped in with like influencers now. They're like, here's the trend, here's a I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't give a shit at all.
But it's hard, and I didn't want to use the word influencer, because to me, it's different. I think there's a lot of kids out here selling this bullshit life of women and crashing cars and helicopters, and it's like, how do you have so much money and like you're 12,
right?
What are we talking? What are you rapping in a jacuzzi with a grill on? This is the content people are consuming. So I do think there's an obligation in what we put out in the world, and I think the way you do it, you're so smart and you're so intentional. Tell me what is next for you, because I only see bigger, better things. Like, you should be writing, you should be acting, you should have your own show, you should have all the things. And I'm speaking this into existence for you, because I do think you move different.
Thank you. I have a podcast called Immediately No coming out on Q1 of 2025. Okay. You obviously have to come on. So fast to come on. I'm excited for that. Offshoots, I really thoroughly enjoyed acting, but I think that's from like being an athlete. Like, I'm highly coachable. I love a team environment, and like I love feedback of like, bigger, smaller, yes, no, cool. And like, it was really fun, and people have said that I felt natural on it. And I'm like, for me, again, that's almost like I love that moment of being on set. I don't really give a shit to look at it. I hate looking at it, but I'm like, oh, you thought it was good? Cool. Never going to see it. That's nice. So I have a couple of things brewing in the acting department with some of the people that I've previously mentioned, talking like, I'm in talks for a couple of roles on like some sitcoms.
I love this.
I have sent some pitches for like movies out where I could like, I don't think I'm a Cynthia Erivo, but I think I can make an affable version of myself from my viewpoints for certain things. I was talking with Sophia about a sitcom called Am I Crazy? And I was like, yo, sometimes I'm like, let's leave it to the Cynthia Erivo's of the world to make like soul piercing art. I just want to be on NBC for 7 seasons, cracking jokes of people I like. And sometimes like
it's that simple.
It's that simple. Sometimes it's like joy is revolutionary. So if I can have like 2 people on a show that I like being with every day and have like, CBS pay for it, that's cool. But yeah, I think acting and writing and podcasting are really going to be heavy in 2025. I would also just like to do a campaign of some sort in like a real official capacity. Like I would like to be on a billboard in some capacity for clothing, not H&M obviously, but like, if Savage Fenty wants to call or Bottega Veneta,
he's available.
Hit me up.
Call him.
Call my agent. Call my people. Have my people call your people, or I'll just do the call myself.
Well, I look forward to many more dates together, hanging out. I see nothing but great things coming from
Thank you.
You're an entertainer through and through. I do think it's a gift. I don't think everyone has it, and you have the special sauce. So I hope that for you. And I have no doubt you're going to be able to do it. But tell everyone where to actually find you on social.
You can find me on Blakely Thornton on Instagram and TikTok, BLAKELYTHORNTON. Also, I sat on it, thank God, on Immediately No Pod. You can find that as well. And then you can find me on Offshoots on Out TV. I think we're going to be the next Schitt's Creek, so please watch that so we can like slowly get to Netflix and then get that money. And yeah, I'll just be here and queer and there and everywhere, hopefully, in the next few months.
I love this for you.
Thank you.
And you deserve it. And I'm excited to keep, I have a front row seat to watch you do all these things. And I think you're going to be incredible. And I'm excited for you. Thank you so much for coming on Wide Open. And we're going to follow you every step of the way. And we're rooting for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, babe.